Hi all, let's have a look at a fascinating Grandmaster, Super Grandmaster encounter in fact, recently at the Gashimov Memorial. This is 21st of April 2017. Wesley playing white against Mamedyarov. Let's see, e4 is played, e5. We go into quite a topical Scotch game, which if you remember, Gashimov used successfully against Wesley in Blitz. So this is now emerging here in this long game, classical game, and this is all pretty fairly well trodden position. A5 is a little bit of a novelty. Usually G6 is played here, so this is presumably some preparation Mamedyarov has in this line, so it's kind of rare bird territory already with this A5. And now in fact black continues aggressively here with A4. In fact, maybe the move B3 might not be the most precise here, because it does seem to encourage the undermining. It's the kind of routine sort of normal move you'd usually play, but maybe something like in live book G3 is quite has been seen, for example like this, only waiting for the queen to come to E6, then playing B3. Maybe that's a slight innovation on the game, important one. So B3 immediately though, A4, pawn chain gets undermined, and the thing is here, with the queen still on a dark square, it lunges in. Yeah, if it was on E6, it's not lunging into the white's position. This is quite annoying. This now encourages a queen retreat, and another annoying move, which almost threatens bishop takes D2 because of the overloaded queen, but white plays bishop D4 anyway, not fearing bishop takes D2. This is okay. There's no big problem here for white. White would actually be better with the two bishops. So black, though, played queen A5, and it does mean that white is forfeiting natural castling rights, king E2. In a way, this is not boding well with the king in the centre. There might be more subject to tempo gains. More work would be needed with the king in the centre to take account of checks. Maybe white should be playing for a draw here and just admitting his opening didn't get a big advantage or anything. But anyway, D6, queen C2, which temporarily sacks that pawn. Bishop B2. And now it looks quite dangerous for rook A1 as well, this position. We see queen C5, knight F3. I mean, this is really quite complicated. What is actually going on here after bishop B2? Let's just add a kibitzer here. Is the threat actually rook A1? Well, maybe it's useful. So in advance of that, but now here, why can't, for example, black play F6? He pinned the knight. F6. There's bishop takes H7. That's clear enough. But in the game, actually, bishop takes H7 was played anyway, and it seems a bit of a. You might think this is a bit suspicious. Surely the bishop's being trapped. That's not actually the case. If G6 this wasn't played, then taking. And the point is not about the loose bishop, but about the rook here. So, for example, bishop takes, and it's actually that loose rook which is disastrous for black in this line. So, in fact, this move gets back the pawn for white. So we have a roughly balanced position. King coming out to F3 now. The black king is in the center as well. And it is actually technically roughly balanced here. And in fact, after queen E7, maybe with that move, Mamedyarov is indicating, it's the first round. Like, do you want to draw? Exchange off queen, simplify. But Wesley he actually tried to maybe play for a win with queen G3. If we look at queen takes E7, black's even got double pawns. In principle, you might want to do this for endgame scenarios anyway, but it's just good enough for a draw though. at least, you know, this position, there might actually be some potential, but no, it's equality. Engine's giving absolute equality. So really, Queen G3 is an ambitious move, and already, you know, the tempo gainers are a bit of a concern. For example, this one is a bit of a concern. It wasn't played. We have G5, Bishop C3. Now, you know, Rook A1, but, you know, Wesley So's in time pressure. Rook A1 looks okay and natural. Just taking that file in some respects. But we have Bishop D2, and again, this encourages this tempo gain that's actually used here. Check, King B8, but maybe now you know, Wesley So's aggressive on the queen side with B4. Now, if this is taken, this is actually possible for black to do. It looks a bit risky, but the outcome is going to be equality again. If these things all swap off, we can have an equal rook and pawn ending. So anyway, Bishop D4 was played, which keeps more tension in the game. So Wesley So's got to reach the move 40 time control. He's getting a bit of short on time. Rook D8 threatens. Well, it's quite dangerous, it seems, for E4 here. B5 though is trying to expose the black king just in time, so it takes the sting out of E4 at least. You know, if E4, this wasn't played, but if E4 we take here, Queen B3, and the threat is Queen B5 check. This should be okay. After Bishop B6 though, the king can slip back to B7 with Bishop B6. But we have Queen E6 after much consideration, actually, by Mamedyarov. There's a video of the time taking. Yeah, Wesley So's like blitzing it, trying to get to move 40. Mamedyarov is taking his time, very, very carefully looking at the positions, it seems. Takes, and this gives black the option. He's undoubled his pawns, it gives black the option, rook b8. So black succeeded in getting a better pawn structure here. F3 putting the brakes on that e4, but rook b8, active rook. Bishop e1, g4. Now we're approaching move 40, critical move 40. Rook d2. Now here, after g takes f3, you know, after black's just fixed his pawn structure, maybe white didn't want to wreck his pawn structure with g takes, so maybe his intuition's encouraging him not to create, you know, pawn islands. It basically creates 3 pawn islands if you look at it. So why would anyone want to do that in their right minds, you know, with someone who's very well intimately connected with pawn structure and harmony of pieces, and very keen on doing exchange sacrifices quite often, which often work. So in a way, the more natural move was played, and it's a check. But this is a big mistake because of tempo gainers in the position, which need to be carefully worked out at all times. And there's one here which just is disastrous for white. Can you see what Mamedyarov plays here? It's not it's not a major sacrifice. That's the clue. It's e4, and it means that the c4 pawn's dropping, so it doesn't really matter about f4 because this is linked to white's king safety. The bishop's already encroaching on escape squares of the king, so this is a complementary diagonal. So queen takes f4. This would be fatal for white's king, for example, like this. Yeah. The instinctive move sometimes in chess is wrong because of the tempo gainers in the position, basically, or even instinctive looking attacks or instinctively looking nearly winning positions. It's the tempo gainers in the position. Here, you know, e4 wasn't an issue before this sort of made it an issue. If queen takes f3, you know, here it was like this was a safe square for white. There's only like g takes undermining a bit e4, but to have to like fragment your pawns. Now let's have a look at this position though. Technically, even though the pawns are fragmented, it seems as though this is about equal actually. It's all small advantage potentially for black. I'll give you an example. King d7, And bishop f2. And in fact, you know, white's pieces coordinate quite well. And this should be equal. You know, basically all the lines are equal-ish now. For example, here, not taking there, that would be not very good. But there's better that white can do in this position. White can play a check here to be really annoying. And king f1, and actually, although the pawns are fragmented, it means actually there's a g2 square here. So for example here, king g2, this position should be possible for equality. For example, the check here. Yeah, it seems like a terrible thing to do in principle, you know, but it does mean it avoids tempo gainers, and also actually the fragmentation gives a square g2. In fact, that fragmentation in this variation as well. No, so actually, you know, it's tricky with best play here, but you know, the check here and king f1 seems to put the king in actually a safe spot again. But you can understand someone in time pressure. We're just human after all. It just reminds us we're all human, even if we're rated over 2800. It's still just human. So this looks like a, you know, a blitz blunder. And it kind of was, because it was like 2 moves. You know, it was like move 38, 2 moves before reaching the time control to get extra time at move 40. So queen takes f3, a bit of a disaster there. But g takes does, you know, at one angle, you've got to admit, looks anti-intuitive, especially given black's just fixed his pawn structure. It seems sort of tragic that you have to break your own pawn structure, but it's necessary. It's the necessary thing to do in this position because of the tempo gainers. So a bit of an instructive blunder there. Maybe you can think of it like that. Okay, comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. That ended, by the way, Wesley So's big winning streak, but at least the pressure's off now. He doesn't have to like maintain this notion that he's unbeatable. Everyone's human, right? Okay, thanks very much.